when something isn't working in my life, I'll make a change. A self-discovery journey isn't something that you can do like really quickly.
No. On this episode of Spill the Tea with LLIB, we had the amazing Angela Spencer to talk all things Virago.
So, Angela, what is a Virago and what does Virago mean to you?
So, Virago Wellness is the name of my coaching and community business. Added the community since last time we spoke, so we can talk a bit more about that. And the word Virago is a word that I found back when I started the business in 2020. I was thinking, I'd love a little brand, what am I going to call it? And I came across this word and it meant female warrior, a woman of exemplary strength. And I just thought, wow, I love that. It just felt like it really encapsulated the type of woman that I want to support. So the type of women that come to me for coaching or come to my events are women who are, they've usually got a 9-to-5 job or they run their own business and they've got, stuff going on at home. They might have children, they've got a lot of life things to take on board. But there's something missing for them, the kind of like, I want to go on this journey. I want to get close to understanding who I am again. And for me, that felt like a really courageous thing to do. Like we're just everyday women, aren't we? But every now and then you get this little feeling in your stomach where you're like, something's missing.
Yeah.
And that's my client and anyone who books in with me. I think that is such a courageous thing to do, to say, I'm going to go on this journey of self-discovery to understand who I am. So that's what a Virago meant when I started the business. But interestingly, there's actually 2 definitions of the word Virago if you were to Google it. And the secondary definition came in much later. So Virago is a Latin word. It's been around for many, many years. But then at some point in history, the definition changed to mean a loud, overbearing woman.
Wow.
Yes. So quite different.
I feel like that may be a male
influence there, maybe. Yeah,
I thought you were going to say, I feel seen.
That's what you usually say.
Overbearing woman.
But that's what you usually say. No, I don't mean because
I'm a loud, overbearing woman.
That's what you usually say when you feel, and then I thought, she's not going to say that. There's no way she's going to say that.
Instead.
But yeah, I just hoped you didn't say it because you're obviously not.
Just the hole's getting bigger and bigger by the side of your chair, Claire.
Go on, Angela. I know what I mean.
So the definition changed at some point in history. Someone decided that they didn't want to celebrate female warriors and they didn't want to celebrate the courage of women. And they decided to tweak the definition to push it more towards the negative.
Wow.
So it became a word that obviously wasn't used as much then. But I actually love that part of the Virago story because, for me, a self-discovery journey is often about reclaiming who you were before the world told you who you should be.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm doing with my definition of Virago. I'm going from that original meaning of a courageous woman and I'm reclaiming it because a lot of people have never heard of the word.
No.
So I'll stand up and do like a speaking event or, something like this and I'll say, this is what it means. So I'm reclaiming its original meaning. I'm bringing it back to what it meant before. I don't know, the patriarchy changed it or whatever.
Yeah. And we're so downtrodden in that sense, aren't we? Even if you were loud, why does that have to be seen as a negative? We can have
to be loud
and powerful women who aren't afraid to sit down and not be heard and go along with things for the easy life. And for so many years that's what women have had to do, put up and shut up.
Absolutely.
Sit quietly in the corner, not have their voice heard. And I think it's so important that if you are loud, that doesn't have to be a negative. And for some people you will be overbearing, but they're not your people.
Absolutely.
Overbearing can be so many great things as well.
Yeah.
You know, we need our loud women to force change.
Yeah.
And to stand up for all the things that are going on at the moment that are wrong.
Absolutely.
You know, not to just be
like
seen
it
as
could be-
overbearing.
Yeah, I feel like overbearing, like I massively resonated with that. Loud and overbearing, because sometimes I can be when I am at the brink of like screaming at somebody as well, and wanting that, what you just said, Carl, about the change and wanting people to listen. Like sometimes you've got to be that person, haven't you? So I get that, but I definitely think that was written by somebody on the flip side who has been, you know, oh yeah, loud, overbearing, you know, and it's too much type of thing, when actually look at what we go through every day. Look at that bottle of pop being shaken every single day. Are you surprised that women, we can, you know, the bubbles do come out, you know, the lid does fly off and we do make a mess sometimes. I am absolutely, you know, I raise my hand all the time to the fact that sometimes I lose my shit. And I'm not just lost it in that moment for nothing. That's been brewing for weeks, for days, for, you know, and it's took that little thing. And then other people around you go, Jesus, like what did I say, or what have I done? I haven't really done anything. Well, darling, for the last 9 months you have, you know, and it's about that. So no, I get that 100%. Did you resonate when you first started Virago? Did you feel like a Virago when you started? I know you just said that you wanted to support women and that was your ideal client, that woman who was coming to you, but did you feel like that starting your own business, or did you feel very much the opposite?
I think it was one of those where I saw the brand name, I saw the name, I thought, well, if I make that my brand, then that's something I have to show up for. I have to embody this brand as well, don't I? Yeah. You know, we spoke in our first podcast about my journey with confidence. And that was a huge part of it, is like, you know, be the thing in your life that you feel is missing. You know, I often say that to my clients. I say, like, what's going on? What are you struggling with? And they're like, I just want to feel calm. And I'm like, okay, well, let's think about how you can be the calm in your life. Let's look at that. You know, you mentioned then, Claire, about like that pop that bubbles over. That was me, like, you know, 5 years ago. That happened a lot. Yeah. And it was because I wasn't managing my needs in between. Yeah. So I would do that thing of like suppressing everything, and then one thing, and I would switch and I would lose it, and then it'd be like, whoa, what's that reaction for? And then it's like, well, I haven't used my voice. I haven't spoken about the other 5 times. I've let it go. You know, you mentioned doormat. I've been that doormat. I've done that. Actually, now I'm in a place where my mindset and my self-discovery, my awareness, my self-awareness, I'll talk when something's uncomfortable for me. When something isn't working in my life, I'll make a change. Yeah. And I am now that calm that I needed in my life 5 years ago. I had an incident this morning, you know, obviously I was coming here, you know, big day, filming a podcast, and it was icy, wasn't it, this morning? And my husband was like scraping his car, and he pulled the windscreen wiper off. So he wasn't very happy. He needed to get to work for a meeting and stuff. And I said, look, you take my car, right? I'll get the train. I'm going to town, I can get the train. I said, I'll drive your car round the corner, park it at the train station. So he was like, you sure? I was like, yeah, okay. Wasn't doing it as a doormat. I was doing it because I had the skills to cope with that stressful moment, whereas he didn't. So he drove to the train station, and the trains were off.
Oh, wow.
So then I was like, okay, you know, went round the corner, pulled up at a garage. I was like, excuse me, I need a wiper for this. I've got to drive to town. I need to be there for 10. Took 10 minutes, wiper on, and then I was off, and I drove to town. And I was like, and I thought, you know what? 5 years ago, I would not have been able to cope with that because I didn't have the capacity for anything to go wrong. Yeah. And that is why, you know, a lot of the women I work with, you know, some people are navigating huge things like, you know, going through divorce or, you know, loss, grief, being made redundant. You know, people are going through big changes. But 9 times out of 10, women just need extra mindset tools to support them to get through the everyday. Because we're all of that generation, aren't we, who were told, you can have it all. You can get the education, you can get the job, you can have the children if you want to. We were told you can have it all. So we did. We went and got it all. And then we went, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't carry it all alone.
Yeah, we weren't given the tools, the life tools to say, this is what it looks like to have it all.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like if you can't have it all. If it doesn't work out for you, if, your relationships breaks down, or if you can't have children, or the perfect job suddenly like tells you that it's not there anymore and you've got to go and find another job. Like, we weren't really given those life tools that we need. And that's what I love about my job now, is that I see these brilliant women and they come to me and they think they're broken. I said, you're not broken. You just need the mindset tools.
Yeah. Wow. What an incredible thing to be able to gift people.
It's a gift that keeps giving, because I learn every day, Yeah.
And it's like that saying, isn't it? You've got everything you need right inside of you.
Absolutely.
It's just unlocking that and sometimes being still enough to be able to listen to yourself as well, because we've got this world, like you've said, where you can have it all and you can be it all, and you're sold or missold that dream.
Yes.
And within that busyness that creates, there is never a moment for you to sit and be and listen to yourself and question, what out of this all, what is it that I want? What is it that's serving me? What is it that's good for me as a person? Not what's good for my children or my husband or me in the friendship group or me in the job role. What's good for me? And we don't often, as women, I think, take that moment to think about us, not in relation to anybody else, but just me.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm 4 years in now, which is like amazing. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients who have done courses with me in the past, and they use me for that now. Like they're like, I'm booking a session because, I've not seen you for ages and I need to process what's going on for me. A good coach is a sounding board.
Yeah.
Right? I sit and listen and I ask the right questions. The coaching industry is strange at the moment, and it's unregulated, so you do have to be careful. And there's a lot of people who call themselves coaches that tell people what to do. Follow these 5 steps and you will do this.
Yeah, you'll be a multimillionaire overnight.
A coach never tells people what to do. A coach listens and allows the woman to explore her wants and needs for herself, and then helps empower them to make that happen. But it's got to come from you, and you need that space and you need that time. And it doesn't have to be with a coach. It could be going for a walk on your own and just being with your own thoughts, sitting in the bath, not being distracted. How distracted are we these days?
Constantly.
With mobile phones, Netflix, you can distract yourself till the day you die, but you'll never be able to distract yourself from that feeling inside of like, something's not right.
Yeah.
I need to change something.
Yeah.
So
if you've got that feeling, what questions, if you were going to take yourself on that walk and gift yourself that 2 hours or that half a day or however long that looks like, what questions would you start with to ask yourself to begin to unlock some of those thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I'll give you a question in a minute, but what I will say is that a self-discovery journey isn't something that you can do like really quickly.
No.
My signature course is 6 weeks, and I always say to my clients, start with 6 weeks. If you really want to get to know yourself, this is understanding what your values are, understanding your core belief system, what drives your thoughts, feelings and behavior, really getting to know yourself as a person. But if you had one 10-minute walk and you were like, something isn't right, I don't know what it is. You might not know what your values are at this point. You might not know what your internal belief system is at this point. You could just ask yourself simply, what do I need?
Wow. That's crazy, isn't it?
Just what do I need? I do that all the time. Like, sometimes I'll have a day and I'll think, I don't feel like me today. I don't feel empowered. I don't feel like I'm practicing what I preach today. What do I need? And sometimes it's, you need solitude. Sometimes it's, you need to go and sort the laundry out. You need clarity, and sometimes for me, clarity comes from organisation.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not an organised person, but every now and then I have a little like moment where I'm like, I need to get organised.
Tidy house, tidy mind.
Sometimes I need a cry.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's an emotion that I'm not allowing myself to feel. You know, you talked about anger before. Like, I honor my emotions now. 5 years ago, before I did any mindset work, I felt like my emotions were like a swell, you know, like a tornado. And I felt like I would cry and I'd have like a panic attack and I wouldn't know why. Right. So I'd cry and I'd be like, I don't even know why I'm crying. I'm overwhelmed. I cry now with intention. I know that sounds silly, but
No, it really
if
doesn't.
I cry now, it's because something sad happened. Because I will allow myself to cry now.
Yeah.
In the past, I would push everything down. If I cry, it's because I feel joyful, like I feel happy. You know, I watch stuff with the kids all the time and I'm crying. They're like, are you okay, mummy? And I say, yeah, mummy feels just really moved by what we've just seen, because it was a happy thing and it made me feel joyful and that made me cry. Now I feel like what self-discovery's given me is my emotions now, my feelings, that it's like they're in a filing cabinet and I can access them at any point. If I want to be angry, I'll allow myself to be angry, because there's power in that. Like you say, an angry woman can change the world, you know? If I want to feel sad, I'll let myself feel sad.
Yeah.
You know, 7-8 years ago, I would be embarrassed to cry and I would say, I don't know I'm sorry, I would apologize.
Yeah.
That's what we do, don't we?
So do you think that journey of self-discovery for you has impacted your family?
Oh, hugely. You know, we were at a point where every week we'd be like, we'd get to the end of the week and we'd be like, just get through one more week. You know, we felt like we were, as a family, on that roller coaster or that kind of treadmill of life. Whereas I'd feel more connected to, you know, my husband and my children now. I feel like I'm more present. And I feel like, I honestly, you know, I know that all families are different, but I feel like society benefits in general when women are okay.
Yeah.
Because women are often people who are spending a lot of time with small people.
Yeah.
You know, from the work you do with children, children that come from mothers who are regulated and happy are happier kids, aren't they? You know,
they were saying that the energy of your house is all solely dependent on the energy of the mother.
Yeah.
Like that, like it doesn't matter whether a man's in the house or not. It's solely dependent on whether the mum is okay, and everyone else feeds off that energy.
Absolutely.
But I feel like, you know, you were talking about your filing cabinet, and one of the things that I've tried really hard over the last few years to do with my children is to really, like you say, try and explain those emotions, because as parents, we try and protect our children from the emotion that we're feeling, don't we?
Yeah.
Until we can't. But, you know, for how many of us out there, myself included, if my children ask, are you okay, mum? I'll be like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And that teaches them that their intuition on the energy is wrong, because they feel that it's not fine. They look at you and they see that it's not fine, but you're saying it's fine.
Yes.
Instead of saying, I'm cross because, or I'm sad because, or I'm feeling a bit off today, but I don't really know why. And sometimes we feel like that, and that's okay as well, but it's not you. Like it's nothing to do with you, and you haven't made me feel that way. Yeah. But I feel like that labeling of emotions and that passing things off as it's fine really, really needs to change in a lot of households. Absolutely. So that our children are better able to regulate and recognise their emotions as well.
Absolutely, 100%.
So I'm glad it's changed your family.
It has. And I've got 2 girls, so this feels really relevant for me, you know, that they grow up knowing what a calm woman looks like, you know, knowing what a regulated woman looks like, you know, knowing that that's okay, that they will need different things at different times. You know, like last week I was like, you know, I was at the part of my cycle where I was feeling a little bit weepy. You know, I felt like I needed to be nurtured. And I was saying to, like, my daughter's 9, so she's getting to that age where her body's changing. And I said to her, you know, oh, come and give me a cuddle on the couch and let's get a blanket. I said, you know, when it's coming up to mummy's period, I sometimes feel cold and I feel like, you know, I want comfort. And even just that is like showing her that we have needs as women that's different to men, and honouring those needs is normal. You know, I think that is just so important. But it's impacted my husband as well, you know, like, because I started to recognise my needs, I'd be like, do you know what? I am better when I've been in the gym, so I'm going to go to the gym. And he was like, okay, yeah, fine, go to the gym. And then he was like, do you know what? I'm gonna start going on bike rides, you know. And then he's like, and the more I say I need this, I start to see it from him. So everyone's happier. We're not just like, you know, I think as a family, sometimes you think you have to stop doing all the things that bring you joy just because you're a mum or you're a dad. So,
it's almost like we put on the back burner, don't we? This, what our needs are. And I know you've been through 2 books now where, you know, it's like, I'm not just a mummy. Like, not just like that, we're still women as part of that. And with that comes that need, like you've said, that itch that just needs to be scratched sometimes, like the what's missing, what is it that like is making me on edge at the moment, and the feeling like there's more to life than this for me, not because you're unhappy with your partner or your friendship group or your children, but for me there's something more.
Absolutely.
I love that. And I love the fact that you said before that question was, what do I need? Because a conversation we regularly have is, if only someone had just asked me what I needed. If only if someone had just asked me, does anyone ask me what I need? And actually, it's like, well, what do I need? You know,
you
asking
could ask
yourself
that question.
and then just provide it for yourself, but then not have that. I suppose sometimes we expect people to know what's going on inside our minds, and that's dangerous, isn't it?
Can I give you a quote? I love a quote. The world will only acknowledge you to the degree at which you acknowledge yourself.
Yeah, that's powerful, isn't it? Yeah.
Whether that's in work, whether that's in your household, whether that's in a relationship. You know, clients come to me with, they might come to me at, like, someone messaged me yesterday. She was a woman that worked with me a couple of years ago. She was going through a divorce. And we worked together, and obviously the journey was very personal, and it was about her relationship, and she is in a great place personally now and got a new partner. She messaged me yesterday and shared some stuff about work that had happened since we did our work together. And she said, you know, once I started acknowledging myself in my personal life, then I was able to show up in work differently. And she said, I just want to say thank you because it continues to improve and get better and better. And that's what happens, you know.
So why do we push our needs down then? Why are so many women just putting everybody else first and settling for? And it's like what you said before, Cal, like, it's not that you're unhappy with your partner or you're unhappy with your kids or unhappy with your career. It could just be that niggly feeling. But why aren't women showing up for themselves? Like, what takes somebody to not book in with you and have those calls? Like, what's holding them back? I know it would be fear. And, you know, what are you seeing?
I think it's a number of things. I think sometimes it's patterns that we've grown up with. So, you know, I have a lot of respect for previous generations, you know, the generations that came before us. You know, went through war or were brought up by parents that experienced war. And, you know, the kind of the trauma, the expectations of those previous generations and how they had to live and how they had to learn how to suppress emotions because those emotions were too difficult for them at the time. I feel like the way women that kind of grew up, well, that's just what you do. You just get on with it, you know. You're a mum now, you have to go and do that, or you're a woman, it's your job to do this. You know, my nan used to say, feed the men first. You know, let the men eat first, she used to say, if she like plated up, because that was like what she'd grown up with, you know, that the men were going out to battle, he needed the fuel, he needed the food. So when you hear that, when you're a little girl and you're like, oh, okay, like, you know, my needs don't matter as much. So there's that, there's just societal stuff, isn't it, you know? But sometimes I think it's actually, like you say, it's scary It's scary to sit, and that's why I say, like, the woman that comes to me and says, can I start a journey? I'm not scary. I'm the least scariest person. You know, I'm so compassionate as a coach. I'm no Tony Robbins. Like, I'm very kind and I'm very compassionate. So hopefully no one's scared to work with me. But I think it's scary sometimes to like lean into what's going on inside. You know, there's another quote, isn't there, that's like, our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate, it's that we are more powerful than
we ever believed.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like a Pandora box as
I
well?
think
it's
so.
Like,
That was exactly
God,
my thing.
If we start working with you, then we might uncover some things that we're not happy with, and then have to action that because it's being brought to the surface.
But it's a choice. So I always say, right, this has come up. And remember, I'm not a therapist, I'm a coach. So a lot of women like working with me because they've experienced therapy and they feel like therapy did what it needed to do, but sometimes it took them back to a place they didn't want to revisit. Whereas they come to me and I'm like, okay, something's come up. And if someone, obviously you have to look back sometimes to move forward. And I'll say, right, but it's your choice if you act on this. You don't have to act on it. It's whether you voiced it or not, it's still there, isn't it? Whether you told me confidentially
it's
over a call,
somewhere in your mind.
It's your choice what you choose to do with that. And I think I always come back to that with my clients. It's like, you're in control.
Yeah.
It's your life. I'm never going to be like, but why haven't you done that, Claire? You told me that. I'm not going to say that to you because that's not my role as a coach. It's your role to take the action. And then what you find is that as women's confidence grows, the action comes, or sometimes life has a funny way of like changing. You know, I have women who are like, I really want to have my notice in, and we're working together and they're building up to that, and they'll phone me up, they'll go, I've been made redundant. And it's like, isn't that funny? Like the universe works in mysterious ways.
It really does.
So what's next for you then? What have you got plans? What does the future hold for Virago and for Angela?
So over the last 12 months, a big sort of additional thing to my business has been events, which for me was me, again, stepping into that role of like embracing the courage and really living the brand, because I started my business during COVID. So I started a business behind a screen. And a lot of people who start a business now are like, oh, I hate social media and, you know, and I hate doing that. And I'm like, well, that was all I could do. So actually that's not a fear for me. The fear for me was stepping outside of that. It was standing up in front of a room and I've done 6 retreat days this year. So this is where the community aspect of Virago's really come in. Coaching's still very much the bread and butter of the business, but I recognise that, like you said, there's a lot of women out there that never in a million years would sign up to coaching, but they'd come to a retreat day because they're like, oh yeah, a little day for me. And then they come to the retreat day. We spend the morning looking at coaching and having some coaching conversations. It's about connection. It's about meeting other women. And then it's usually about self-care as well. So I do them at Hope Street Hotel and Spa.
Lovely.
You've experienced that, haven't you, Claire? And I do it at Lake House. We have like gorgeous like coastal walk. And those events for me are going to be important again next year. I've got a few more speaking opportunities coming up, just because I knew when I started my business that the type of women who work with me, they weren't looking for a coach. But I wanted to make coaching more accessible to more women because I know the power of it. And when I started, coaching was something that you had if you were an exec in a business, or if you were on like a self-love journey and you were kind of like barefoot yogi in Bali. Do you know, it was kind of like, I remember thinking, but where's the coach for me? Where's the coach for the woman who's got responsibilities? She might be a mum, she might not be a mum, but she's just like a normal woman. And that's why I've always tried to make, you know, my pricing accessible, making it even more accessible through the events, just so that people can come and get a little bit of that Virago spirit. It doesn't have to be a 6-week one-to-one coaching journey. It could be a small group coaching journey. It could be coming along to an event. You both joined me at my International Women's Day event this year.
Fabulous.
There's going to be one next year. So yeah, just spreading the Virago energy as much as I can.
I love that. It's just going to go from strength to strength, just like all Viragos should.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I know
it really
so.
will.
Absolutely.
Really
Well,
will.
thank you so much for joining us again on the couch. Can't wait to have you back in 2025.
Yeah.
To hear
Won't be able
even
to get
more.
rid
It's like
of
a
me.
yearly thing now, isn't it? This is what we do. But you are, and you always have been someone who we massively look up to
Yeah,
in
a
life
huge
and in
inspiration.
Vice
business.
versa. Yeah.
I think you've got to surround yourself with those women when you're on this journey in business who are really real and who are
Yeah.
really honest about that wave, that roller coaster of business isn't always going to be, what we see on social media and what we are led to believe by. The coaches who we shared before, you can do this step by step, and it's not actually, you create your own path and you create your own success, and whatever that looks like to you will not look like that to me. It's very different. My success is being able to finally do the school run morning and after school, and that to other people mightn't seem like, oh God, well that's not really a success, but actually I love to do it. I didn't get to do it with Sammy and Dylan, so, and I save our family a lot of money by doing it as well. And people don't see that part of it, how much you do actually save. So yeah, we definitely 100% can't wait to see what 2025 brings for you. And we'll be there. Waving our little Angela banners, as we always do. But thank you so much for being an amazing guest. So Angela, if you could spill the tea with anyone, who would you choose and why?
So this sounds like a bit of a narcissistic answer to this question, but I would spill the tea with my younger self.
Oh, I love that.
I'm obsessed with self-discovery, and self-discovery has been a gift to me. It's helped me heal from my past. It helps me be present every day, and it encourages me to move forward, and it excites me and inspires me for my future. But I think one of the biggest things is like the healing from the past bit. I'd love to go back and just be with myself at maybe 17 or 18, quite a poignant part of my life. And I just, you never get to be with yourself at that point ever again. And this is the art of being present. We've lost that, haven't we? And I look at my girls now, they grow up so quick. And I sometimes I look at my 9-year-old, I feel like she changes overnight. You'll know what that feels like. And sometimes I just think, oh my God, I'm never going to get to be with this version of you ever again.
Yeah.
And I have that same feeling about my younger self. I have a lot of love for myself and the mistakes I made, and a lot of self-compassion for a younger me. So I'd love to go back and just tell myself that, that everything's going to be okay, that I can trust my intuition, that just that I'm good enough, I suppose. That always comes back to it, doesn't it? Most self-discovery journeys come back to just self-acceptance. Like, you are more than enough, just as you are. Keep showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
I am a really positive influence on myself now. Our last chat was about becoming your own inner cheerleader, wasn't it? And I'd love to be a cheerleader for my younger self, because she needed it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love that.
It's so lovely to hear. It really is. And as you know, our closing tradition is, how would you make the perfect cup of tea? Are you still a team Cal? Or have you changed your ways?
Cheers, Cal.
And
I
on
still
that note,
take my tea bag out.
thank you, Angela, for being an amazing guest on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.